like to work with him this year?
Yeah, KB's got some good energy. He brings that at the practice field every day. Yeah, it's fun to have that type of personality and energy interjected into the team. Um, but he works hard. Some of the things we've asked him to do, I feel like he's really improved with, and he's got he's got some good skills, good quickness. He's got length, good target, catches the ball well. It's quick, so it's good skill set, and a guy who's really just continued to work hard and get better every single day. I have a lot of respect for the way he approaches the game and his work ethic on a practice field.
Thank you.
Next question, Mike, please. And I'll ask the others to turn on their cameras before asking the question.
Sounds great. Bill, since Jelani Tavai has been promoted to the 53, I wanted to ask you, what did he do to sort of earn that spot?
Yeah, but Jelani's, let's say gained experience and of course he's a player that's played, but just relative to coming in here at the end of the end of August and being able to get transfer some of the terminology and fundamentals that we used relative to what he did at Detroit. He was active, but has showed up every week and continues to make progress in the overall understanding of what we're doing and handle versatile different roles to provide versatility for our team and defense.
And it seems like you guys are still juggling a little bit at tackle. I know Mike came back to practice yesterday, and it looked like Justin wasn't there. What is your level of sort of concern with what is happening at that spot?
Yeah, we'll take it day to day. We'll see where things are at today. So that's all we can do. Let's go day to day.
And I know we talked about the 3 tackles. If you had to go to a 4th, I mean, do you feel like Mike is an option for you there, or because of what he did last year, or do you think it seems like this year, he's been sort of more locked into the inside there?
Right. Whoever it would be, anytime you have to go deep at any position, and you're looking at what would just be best to manage that situation on a short-term basis. So it would depend on who else is in the picture and what else we're talking about, and that's still a little bit of a moving target here. So.
Next question, we'll go to Michael Belkin. Michael, you're muted.
I'm unmuted, sorry about that. Bill, what's your viewpoint of just the philosophy in terms of the value of tempo variance as an offense, be it speeding up or slowing down, the effectiveness of that, and how have you seen the Cowboys manipulate tempo over the course of this season?
All right. Well, all those different things that the offense can do are used to gain some kind of an advantage. And so when you consider from a game planning standpoint what your options are and how you can gain an advantage by doing a variety of things, what the biggest advantage is, or what you're most comfortable with, or however that unfolds, that's really the decision you make, is how do we gain an advantage? Is it tempo? Is it motion? Is it a certain personnel group? Is it a certain formation? Is it whatever it is? And so all those tools are available to the offense. They can control them. They can control all those things. Defense has no real say on any of that. Offensively, you put out on the field who you want out there. You put them where you want them. You go as fast or as slow as you want to go. If you want to go slow and check plays, that's an option. If you want to go fast and force the defense to play faster, again, it's whatever you feel like you can gain an advantage with. So I'm sure that, Coach McCarthy and his staff that's what they do. And so exactly how they do it and why they do it and all that, I mean, you'd have to ask them about that. But obviously they're doing it to gain an advantage, and there's certain advantages to going fast, and there's certain advantages to taking more time to see what what the defense is doing. And teams use both throughout the league, and I think that's just either a overall philosophy or a game by game philosophy, depending on what they're facing. That would vary from team to team. So you just, again, you never really know defensively how they look at you and what you think they'll do. Some teams mix it up. Some teams are more one way than another. So it's, as defensively, you just have to be ready for all those, and whichever ones they decide to employ, you have to be ready to defend. And they each have a little bit of a, put some kind of restriction on you defensively. That's what they're intended to do, and generally speaking, that's what they do. So then you have to deal with whatever that restriction is that they, that style of play dictates.
Restriction in terms of substitutions, or what specific restrictions can accompany that?
Well, it depends on what they do. Yeah. I mean, if they're if they're using a lot of motion, then I mean you got to decide defensively how many adjustments you want to make every time a guy goes in motion. So I think that those kind of things, teams that go in motion and shift all the time, you don't want to be making 4 checks on every play. Teams that play fast, it limits what they can do. It limits a little bit what you can do defensively. Teams that play slow have more time to read the defense, the line of scrimmage, can get in the right play, forces the defense to not declare, but eventually they have to declare. And if you show the offense what you're in, then a lot of times they'll get to the right play or find the right matchup that a fast team isn't really looking to do that. So again, there's whatever the offense does, they're trying to put some stress on the defense. Defensively, it doesn't take you too long to figure out what they're trying to prevent you from doing or make it difficult for you to do, and then you have to deal with it accordingly. I mean, if you're trying to match up receivers and they line up guys all over the place and put them in motion on every play, like that's not the easiest thing to do. It's a lot easier to just sit there and let them go where they want to go and take them as they come. But if that's so, again, there's different whatever the offense does, there's a reason for doing it, and it's not to make it easy on the defense. We know that. So you have to have some type of way to deal with it.
Looks like we have 2 remaining questions. We'll go with Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News, followed by Joy Epstein.
Coach, questions about your relationship with Mike McCarthy. I know you only see him maybe once every 3 or 4 years because he's in the other conference, but it seems as if you guys have a mutual respect for each other. How did that develop over time?
Well, in competing against him, I mean, I have a ton of respect for Mike, and talked to him and seen him in owners meetings and things like that. But he's I think he does a great job offensively. Always watch their film and take a look at the things they're doing. They have some very good concepts. He puts the defense in the can put the defense in a lot of stress. Depending on what the defense is doing, he has different ways of whether it's zone, man, tempo, formations, route combinations, and so forth, misdirection plays that, potentially slow the defense down or, give them a conflict with their keys. And situationally, I think, Mike's probably as good as anybody that we play against. And as you said, it hasn't been very often, and I'm happy about that. I wouldn't want to play Mike twice a year, but there's situational football, 3rd down, 4th down, 2-minute, 4-minute, end of half, end of game, 4th down calls, low red area calls, last play calls, things like that. They're all good. We probably, in the weeks that we played him, probably spent more time on those plays than with any other team. They're very well prepared, and and they always seem to execute them at a very high level. So, all those things are, things that, and again, Mike's teams play, they're sound fundamentally. You got to go out there and play well to beat them. They don't beat themselves. They don't, make mistakes that stop themselves. You got to go out there and play 60 minutes of good football, and that's really hard. I think every time we've played them, I've always felt like, they had a really good game plan. They had a really good plan of attack. They made it hard on us, and they were hard to defend. Not just the players, but the positions they put us in and how they tried to attack us. And they have a variety of ways of doing it, but at the end of the day, when you go back and look at it, you think like they gave us some problems, and they challenged us, both schematically and with their personnel matchups.
The two final questions. Jordan Epstein, USA Today, and Zach Cox. Go ahead, Jordan.
Bill, what impresses you most about Trayvon Diggs' performance so far this season? And when you're developing a young corner, how do you balance encouraging that playmaking while also teaching the patience that's required to not give up big plays?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Players that play that position, it's certainly a confidence position. You can't play out there on an island and play well without a lot of confidence. And every corner, every corner has gotten beat. Every corner has had pass caught on them. But all the good ones that I've been around, have that confidence that they forget about that play or maybe learn from it and understand what happened, but they're on to the next play, and they don't lose their confidence. They don't lose their aggressiveness, and you just try to improve on something that you could have done better, or maybe that they you overplayed, or didn't play well enough, whatever it is, and try to improve on that, but continue to play with a high level of aggressiveness and awareness. And those corner instincts and ball skills and judgment on which ones you can get to, which ones you can't, and have to tackle the receiver and all that. I mean, that's you can drill those as a coach, but those are instinctive plays that some players have great anticipation and awareness and judgment on that, and some players just aren't at quite the same level. So speed, quickness, vision and judgment, and again, all the good corners, they always are in tune with the pass rush, and so when they know that the ball's got to come out in a certain amount of time, based on the pass rush, or if they can see, depending on what the coverage is, that the offense is keeping more guys in to protect, and that changes the depth routes and the type of patterns and so forth. And guys that are really good out there, they see all that. Now, if they're just in man coverage and they're just locked down, then it's all on the receiver and his tendencies and so forth. But guys that can see the whole formation and see flare control and see protection and see the quarterback's depth in the drop and so forth, they put a lot of that together and are able to anticipate routes based on all that information that they can accumulate and process in milliseconds, and that's what makes them great. So
with Trayvon specifically, his interceptions have come on a variety of routes. What's consistent about the way he's making plays when you look at the different routes he's jumping?
Yeah, well, again, I don't say necessarily jumping. It's being in position and then playing the ball, and that comes from good fundamentals. And again, I don't think you learn that in 2 or 3 practices. That's something that I'm sure, and I know he developed in college and has refined in the NFL, as the NFL passing game is different than the college passing game. But a lot of fundamentals on playing the ball and position and leverage and so forth are things I know that he's been taught, and he's obviously playing very well and doing those things very well. And again, a lot of that's confidence, and it's hard to do because each week the passing game's different, the quarterback's different, the receivers are different, and it's a big challenge to play that position every week. So, but he's doing it extremely well, and certainly a guy we have to have a high awareness of where he is.
Last question, Zach Cox.
Bill, going back to the offensive line, how valuable is it to have someone like Ted in there who isn't part of the regular starting unit, but has a lot of starting experience and a lot of experience in your system?
Yeah, well, Ted and James Ferentz both did a great job for us last week, and with David Andrews, like those three guys really operated well together and handled some things that the Texans did, and we'll look at some different but similar type problems with the way the Cowboys operate with their sub defense. They have a couple different personnel groupings and certainly some different looks up front that are challenging. Just by the way they align and then what they do out of it. Coach Quinn does a really good job there on the pass rush and not just the techniques of rushing, but where he puts players to force certain blocking angles or to force a certain protection and then take advantage of it. So, the communication the experience that Ted and James brought to that with, relatively little playing time, between Shaq and Mike this year, we were really fortunate they were able to step in there and do that. So, but whoever's in there, it doesn't matter. Whoever's in there, blocking the Cowboys will be a big challenge on all downs, especially their third down package. They do a real good job up front of creating problems, both with their skill of their players, but also the multiple looks that they create and the different ways you have to block them or treat their alignments. So no matter who's in there, that'll be challenging. But we're very fortunate to have Ted and James, two guys that have a lot of experience in our system and have both played center. So that's also helpful because if you know what's going on as a center and understand the whole protection, that certainly helps you when you move over to playing guard. So. But again, however that goes this week between, Shaq and Mike and Ted and James and David, it'll be a challenge for whoever it is that's facing them.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade? Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents?